In this video, I'm going to cover content creation, and I'm going to be going over my content creation strategy that allows me to create consistent content without working myself to death, and it actually makes the content creation process enjoyable. One of the hardest things about creating content is really having a process, having a plan, and having a system in place that doesn't make you feel overwhelmed. And I can tell you from the years of creating content and all the different platforms that I've used, at times it becomes overwhelming. It almost starts to feel like a chore. It feels like something you dread to do. And a lot of us are juggling multiple areas of our businesses. Depending on what business model you have, that could be different, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you some of the hacks that I use to automate part of the process so I actually have free time in my personal life and also to focus on other areas of my business. I'm going to teach you on my strategies that I use to actually figure out what content your customer wants so you can attract your perfect customer. And I'm going to teach you how to actually do this so it's something you can do consistently over a long period of time and actually enjoy what you're doing and not dread actually creating content. Now, before we go any further, if you're brand new to the channel, my name is Zach Crawford, and I want to give you a chance to win one of my $1,000 courses completely for free. All you need to do is go below, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell so you get notified when I drop new videos, and finally comment below, I've subscribed and I'll welcome you to the channel. Now, every single day you have one new chance to win the course by commenting on any of my videos, and I pick one winner per day. Now, I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you'll probably understand the importance of creating content, and that's probably what you're doing right now. You're trying to figure out how to put a content creation strategy together to fit your own needs, to actually fit your own business needs. And what I want to do is I want to touch on that really quick. I want to go into why content creation is so crucially important, in my opinion, to all online businesses. I personally believe that creating content is one of the most important skills you can learn to master for just about any online business. In fact, creating content is so important to basically get, notoriety for your brand, to warm people up to you, to get people to trust you, and finally to turn those people into paying customers. However, the reality is when you're first getting started creating content, if you're anything like I was 5 years ago when I started to create my first piece of content, you're probably not going to be very good at it. I think it's important that I touch on, when you start creating content, you have to focus on mastery. It's a skill set. It's just like playing basketball and trying to get into NBA. It's just like learning the skill set to do anything that you want to do in life to achieve at a high level. It's something you're going to have to experiment with. It's something you're going to have to test. It's something you're going to have to tweak your process. And it's something you're going to have to work at consistently in order to master the skill. Now, regardless what medium or what platform you choose to focus on, to dominate, right? I want to encourage you to be okay with sucking. Be okay with not being good at it when you start. Be okay with being uncomfortable, being awkward, and really trying to develop your voice. And be okay with not having all the answers when you get started. Now, when I first got started, I chose blogging. That was because video terrified me. In fact, it took me about 30 days in order to do my first video, and I would say the next 50 videos after that, I was pretty shy, awkward, and honestly, I was pretty darn insecure. Now, the more content I created, the more I realized it wasn't as scary as I made it out to be in my head. In fact, when I started doing the videos, people started saying they actually liked my content when I felt like I sucked. Now, eventually, I actually worked my way over into live streams, and I had that same awkward feeling in my stomach. I felt like this is going to be a bad thing to get into, and I knew because of the fact that I was scared to do it, I had to do it. So what I did is I committed to 30 days of live streams in order to get comfortable on camera. So what happened is I ended up going past that 30 days, and I actually did 6 months straight, a daily live stream every single day. And this was on top of my other content production I was doing. In fact, I don't even honestly know how I maintained it, but I just decided I have to master this skill. I knew it was that important. And by the end of the 6 months, I got so darn good, so confident on camera that I was able to pitch products on the live streams. In fact, I was able to make $40,000 from one live stream in just 2 days. So what's my point here? Well, basically, if somebody just discovered me today, if they watch my videos today, they could say, oh, Zach is so comfortable on camera. He's so confident and he's just a natural. But the problem would be that they're only seeing my highlight reel. So my wish for you is that you believe in yourself and you commit to mastery on whatever platform you choose, because when you commit to mastery, the following tips I'm going to share with you are going to be very helpful. All right, so tip number 1 is to learn to be a master storyteller. I'm going to teach you how to create content and give you some of those strategies in the following tips. But in my opinion, in order to create engaging content, in order to create content people want to consume, content people love, content people come back for, it comes down to being a good storyteller. If you think about it, we are hardwired from a kid to love a good story. You probably can remember back when you were a child and you loved sitting in bed at the end of the night with your parent and they read you a story before bedtime. These days, as an adult, you probably love a TV show or a movie. A good story just reels you in. And what I can tell you is a good piece of content is wrapped in a story. Stories are what set you apart in your marketplace. It's what makes you sexy. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes people follow you compared to everybody else that's creating the same piece of content that you're creating. Stories are what make your insights and your content unique from everybody else. So my personal suggestion is to tap into your story bank. Go back into your past and your personal experience and inject stories into every piece of content you create, because this is what's going to make people follow you and come back for more. Now, as I said a little bit before, storytelling is a skill. It's something that didn't come natural to me. It's something that I used to think, I don't have any unique experience. Who the heck wants to follow me? Now, if you do not know how to tell a good story, which the reality is you probably don't, my suggestion is to go get the book by Russell Brunson called Expert Secrets. Honestly, that's how I learned to put stories together, to make them engaging, to make them entertaining, and to spice up my content. All right, so tip number 2 is to pick your platform and rip, pivot, and jam. And right now you're probably thinking, what is rip, pivot, and jam? That makes no sense. Basically, it's just another word for reverse engineering, and I learned this concept years ago from a guy named Dan Andrews. When you first start out, you're probably not going to have an audience, and you're probably going to be a bit confused of what content to create to actually attract that audience. This is where rip, pivot, and jam really comes in. So what you want to do is you want to pick your platform that you actually want to build on, and then you want to go out there and find the leaders that are already creating engaging content. They already have a following, and they already know what people want. You can choose anything from, say, podcasting, blogging, Instagram, YouTube, all of them work. My personal suggestion is just to pick one platform to master at a time, because at the end of the day, you're only one person. Now, what you want to do is you want to go find the leaders on that platform, and this is where RIP comes in. Basically, RIP is just find the content they're creating that is very engaging, that is very popular, and it's the topics that people love. If you look very closely in your marketplace, you're going to notice that pretty much everybody rips. Everybody uses the topics that are very popular at the moment. They're riding on trends, and if you look across people's different YouTube channels or different Instagram feeds in the niche, all the content creators are pretty much creating the same thing. All right, the second part to this is the pivot part. We got rip and then we got pivot. And basically pivot is simply using creativity. It's putting your own spin on the content, using your own unique insights, injecting your personality, and making the content yours. There's no unique content these days, but what makes it unique is you. All right, so the final part of the equation is jam. And all this means is to dominate the platform, become better than anybody else at that skill set. Now, what I want you to realize is this is all about creativity. It's finding ways to make yourself unique and get better than everybody else. And this is a process. It's going to take some time. Sometimes finding your voice, tapping into your creativity, mastering the skill set, it's not something you're going to do overnight. So keep in mind, it's a process and you have to strive to get better every single day. All right, so tip number 3 is focus on creating content people want. Now, this is a bit similar to tip number 2, but you got to focus on creating content that your ideal customer is looking for. Now, if you're using something like Google or YouTube, like what I personally do, this is a very easy process. What I like to do is use Google Instant or YouTube Instant. Now, some people like using paid tools, but personally, this is the process that I follow. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find leaders on the platform I'm trying to master. So if it was Google and I'm writing articles, right, I'm going to go find one of those leaders on Google. I'm going to figure out what topics and titles they're creating content on. Now, if it's YouTube, I'm going to go find leaders on YouTube. I'm going to look at the video topics they're creating. The next part of the process is I'm going to go to YouTube or Google and I'm going to type in one of those keywords that I see topics that leader is creating. So an example, I may have found something like content creation strategy, like this video, right? And when I start to type in content creation, what's going to happen is before I even get to the word strategy, there's going to be a drop down. It may say things like how to create a content creation strategy, how to create content, how to create content online, or similar search phrases like that. Now, all I do is I note down all of those topics for future blog posts or videos. And when it comes time to shoot that particular topic or search phrase, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google or YouTube. I'm going to type that search phrase in and I'm going to look for the top, say, 3 to 5 people that are really creating great content. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay attention to the content creator. I'm going to look at their tips, their suggestions. I'm going to note down the things I do and don't like, some of the things I agree with and some of the things I don't agree with to make my own unique video. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay attention to what really matters, and that's the comment section, because at the end of the day, I want to see what the viewers or the readers care about, because that's going to give me all the feedback I need to create a better piece of content that caters to my potential customer. All right, so the fourth and final tip is to plan out your content. And what I can tell you is I used to be a wing it type of guy, and because I winged it, I was very inconsistent. So this is a 2-part process, and the first part is to plan out your content in detail. You should never sit down at your desk and not know what you're going to work on. In my opinion, this is why people say they're confused, they're not sure what to do, or they're frustrated and overwhelmed. And what happens is they end up distracted with other things like social media and text messaging, and they tell themselves they're hustling, but they don't really get much done. Now, what I do to stay organized and to be able to create content consistently is use what's called a content calendar. Now, I don't have some complex process that has 10, 20 steps. Some people are very, very detailed with this. For me, I like simplicity. I basically list down the search phrase or the keyword that that I'm going to go after. I list any relevant articles maybe my competitors have done that I want to reference to make a better piece of content. And then finally, I put the date that I'm actually going to create the content, so I actually have a plan of when I'm going to work on it. Now, by doing this, it eliminates stress for me. And the reason being is I don't feel overwhelmed. I never have a question of what should I do or what kind of content I should create. And by doing this, I feel in control of my life, I feel in control of my business, and it makes content creation actually enjoyable. All right, so the final part of the process is batch processing. And this is my real secret to creating consistent content and not getting overwhelmed. Basically, all batch processing is setting aside a day to create lots of content. By doing this, it allows me to get weeks ahead. You know, let's be honest, there's going to be some days that you literally just want to punch the camera. You're not going to feel like doing videos, you're not going to feel motivated to do it, you're not going to be in a happy mood, and that's normal. So this is why I like batch processing. If there's ever one of those days, I'm going to be okay. If I ever get stressed out, if I ever get sick, if I ever get an emergency that pops up in my life, I'm not going to fall back on my content creation strategy. If you actually start batch processing your content, it's going to become very easy to be consistent over a long period of time. What I can tell you in the past is I used to try to create content the day that I needed to publish it, and by doing that, I was very inconsistent, and a lot of times creating content felt more like a chore than actually something that was enjoyable. So that's a wrap. That's my content creation strategy. I know it's not something super advanced, it's not something super sexy, but it allows me to create consistent content, and I actually love doing it. If you got value from the video, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button. That helps me reach more people. And finally, don't forget to subscribe, and take care, and I will see you in the next video.